Бallin, советский автопром!
Hey there, and here, and once again, I attempted an ultra-budget PC build, and well, this time I wasn't all too successful, but I'll talk more about it throughout the video. Honestly, I put this off way too long. A combination of my disappointment and balancing content creation with sleep. With a couple 6-day work weeks, things have been, you could say, slow. So, let's talk about this build, I guess. So, let's get to one of the things I think that failed this build. This, or the motherboard. This is supposed to be an 8-core 8-thread CPU, but you know how FX is. It really feels like a 4-core CPU with worse IPC than a 2nd to 3rd gen i5. They will beat them in a good chunk productivity task, but these FX CPUs really fall short of gaming. Launched 2012 for about $169 MSRP. This was a good budget alternative to an i7 for productivity work, when it works. Its base clock is 3.5 GHz and can turbo up to 4 GHz by itself. Now, for the caveats for choosing the 8320. It's a hot fucking boy.
How long are you prepared to keep?
This guy, this fat ass of a CPU eats up power. Also, don't get me how much more, what the fuck did I write here? Also, don't get me started on how much more it can eat if you decide to overclock. And honestly, this guy can overclock if we're actually using a working one. I am a bit salty about that. Anyway, this is a rare case with the CPU being, well, deficient, not up to snuff. I had to actually overclock. It's nothing radical, but it can only get a stable 4 GHz, which made things, well, reasonably playable, still underperforming how it should. Doesn't help that either the motherboard or RAM is unstable above 1333 MHz. I don't have too much to say about this classic beast, and you can check out the details of the video right up there. Really, this card roughly performs like a GTX 1060 3GB, so it can play most modern games with a few compromises. Its biggest weakness is the amount of VRAM, 3.5 gigs. Also, it does need a bit of power, typically needing a 2x6 pin power connector, but I've seen them come with a single 8-pin, and it has a TDP of 150 watts give or take. Now if the CPU worked like it should have been, I would have been alright with this being about $100, but honestly I didn't win this time, but you can't always win with dealing with used parts. Anyway, here they are. Now, if you're wondering how I can get a case that cheap, it was by pure mistake. I got that office PC. I am now from The Sims. Now, if you're wondering how I can get a case that cheap, it was by pure mistake I got an office PC. I bought a power supply for $5, but they sent a whole ass PC, so I'm like, this is fine too. So I just removed everything and used the case. It's a nice looking office computer. First, let's get down to synthetics, and you'll know some results with the original configuration and then some with the overclock. So with PC Mark, the scores got lower and lower with each time I benched it. With Cinebench, I felt like this was going to be the case. Like halfway through I realized something was wrong, and that's why I tried overclocking, so the latter half of the benchmarks won't have the original clocks. For Fortnite, even competitive settings are too stuttery, and once again, I believe the FX chip is the culprit behind this. With performance mode, it feels like the normal amount of stutters you typically get with Fortnite, and overall feels smoother than comp settings. But with an overclock, both comp and performance mode become bearable to deal with. So for Overwatch, medium preset is your best bet with this combination of parts. And like always, the FX is the bottleneck. As I know, the 970 has much more to give than this at higher settings. However, one thing I managed to learn from all this is that some maps are more intensive on the CPU compared to others. Honestly, I would skip Armored Core 6 with this setup, though it is much more tolerable on the overclock. Don't try the finals with this setup. That's all. Don't try it. You don't always win with used parts. That's the biggest downside. Sometimes you get a dud. Luckily, in my case, it wasn't completely dead, but I realized the performance kept getting worse over time, even with the overclock. I have two options to fix this, and I'm debating which one. And I'm leaning towards using a 4th Gen i5 to just get the best out of this. Anyway, let me know down below if you used the 8320 or the 970 before, and how well it performed for you. I'm ManHero, something of a virtual YouTuber myself. Like if you like, and dislike if you don't like it, or just hate me. Subscribe for more, or if you're just masochistic. See you next time. Bye-bye.
I put the new 4Gs on the G. I trap until the bloody bottoms is underneath. Cause all my homies got it out the street. I keep 100 racks inside my jeans. I remember hitting the mall with my whole team. Now a homie can't answer calls cause I'm ballin'. I was waking up getting racks in the morning. I was broke, now I'm rich, I got them salty. All this designer on my body got me drip drip. Straight up out the country for 1/5. If I got a Bud Light, I'm a sip. Run up these racks.